school leaders can be held responsible for the outcome even when they have less and less authority over the decisions that shape it. They're accountable for achievement, well-being, attendance, inclusion, culture, implementation, and strategic improvement. But when it comes time to interpret context, adapt the approach, sequence the work, or name the trade-offs, the professional room to move can be much smaller than the responsibility they carry. This is what I call the judgment compliance gap, and it's one reason accountability can begin to feel less like clarity and more like exposure. To be clear, this is not an argument against accountability. Accountability matters, absolutely. Students deserve accountable schools. Communities deserve accountable leadership. Systems need transparency, quality, and trust. The problem appears when leaders remain answerable for outcomes, but have less discretion over how those outcomes are pursued responsibly in their unique context. A useful distinction here is the difference between responsibility and authorization. Responsibility names what leaders are answerable for. Authorization names the trust, discretion, and professional room they're given to act. And when responsibility and authorization move together, accountability can strengthen leadership. Leaders know what outcomes matter, and they have enough room to interpret the context, make decisions, sequence priorities, and explain their reasoning. But when they drift apart, leaders may still be held accountable for results while becoming less able to exercise the judgment those results require. And that changes leadership behavior. Leaders become more cautious. They may soften what they know. They may translate local complexity into safer language. They may focus more on demonstrating alignment than discussing what responsible action actually requires. Compliance can expand while trust contracts. Professional work cannot be reduced to rule following. Schoen's work on reflective practice helps us understand why. Professionals often work in situations marked by uncertainty, uniqueness, and competing values. That is school leadership. A leader is not simply applying policy to a blank surface. They're interpreting purpose inside a living community. Leadership is not simply implementation. More importantly, it's interpretation. So the practical move is not to reject accountability, it's to make the gap visible. Ask one question: where am I accountable for outcomes without enough discretion to respond responsibly? Choose one area: staff well-being, student engagement, curriculum implementation, attendance, inclusion, some departmental initiative, and then ask, what am I responsible for? What judgment does that require? And where is discretion constrained? And because of that, what conversation is needed? And that shifts the conversation from complaint to clarity. Instead of saying, there's too much compliance, a leader can say, in this area, I'm accountable for the outcome, but the professional judgment required to achieve it is constrained. Here's the effort that's having. Here's the conversation that we need. That is more disciplined, and it's more professional, and it's more likely to be heard. Sustainable leadership does not come from lowering expectations. It comes from restoring the professional judgment required to meet expectations responsibly. Now, I explore this more deeply in the full leadership paper, The Sustainability Myth: How Great Leaders Protect What Matters When Everything is a Priority, and you can download it through a link in the description. Professional judgment does not weaken accountability. It makes accountability responsible.